Hello and welcome back to another Teacher Sean video. Today we're going to try something a little bit new. We're going to watch a scene from a movie and see what we can learn from that scene. So today we're going to watch a clip from the movie Marriage Story. It goes without saying that you can learn a lot from watching movies, so we're going to watch this film to see what we can learn from what the characters are saying. So, a quick background on the story, the film was made by Noah Baumbach. You have Adam Driver, who plays the male character Charlie, and you have Nicole, who's played by Scarlett Johansson. These two characters are going through a divorce, and what's really special is that these two characters actually talk like people talk today. So we're going to watch these clips and break them down bit by bit to really understand what this scene is supposed to mean. Now this scene takes place as the two characters are having their biggest fight of the film. Now, real fast, this isn't a spoiler. The movie is about a couple going through divorce, so you know there will be fighting. So don't be afraid. If you haven't seen the movie yet, you can still see what we're talking about. But I highly suggest watching this movie because it is so good. So what we're going to do is break it down into 10 segments. This is about a 4-minute scene, 10 segments that we're going to talk about. Let's see how the fight starts.
My work is here now. My family is here.
And I agreed to put Henry in school here because your show went to series. I did that knowing that when you were done shooting, he would come back to New York.
Honey.
So when he says series, your show went to series, that could be a little bit tricky to understand. What he's saying is that she has a TV show that got picked up by big networks and they're going to produce the show. So now they don't live in New York. Well, she and her son don't live in New York. They live in Los Angeles now, where they make the big TV shows.
Honey, we never said that. That may have been your assumption, but we never expressly said that.
We did say it.
When did we say it?
I don't know when we said it, but we said it. We said it at the time on the phone.
Honey, let me finish. Sorry, I keep saying that. I thought that if Henry was happy here and my show continued, that we might do LA for a while.
I was not privy to that thought process.
So here what he's saying is they thought that they were always going to go back to New York. She's saying that was never really the case, but he insists that she said it before. Now, did they say it? We don't know. He does say the magic phrase is, I wasn't privy to that. And that word privy means that being on the same page. Like if you're not privy to something, it means you don't know what they're saying.
Oh, the only reason we didn't live here is because you can't imagine desires other than your own, unless they're forced on you.
Okay, you wish you hadn't married me, you wished you had a different life, but this is what happened.
So real fast, there she's basically saying that he's selfish. That's all she's really saying. That he can't imagine desires unless they're desires of his own. Basically means that he only can think about things that he wants.
So what do we do?
I don't know.
Nora says there's no coming back from this.
Fuck Nora. Hey, fucking Nora telling me I always lived in LA, even though I never lived in LA. How could you ever say those things about me?
Jay said them about me too. You shouldn't have fired Bert.
I needed my own asshole.
So that's a kind of just a quick little joke, and it might be hard to see why it's funny, but he said he needs his own asshole, basically saying that Bert was the other lawyer, and Bert wasn't mean. He thinks her lawyer is mean, so he hired a meaner asshole lawyer. An asshole is not a nice word to call people.
Let's just both agree both of our lawyers said shitty stuff about both of us.
Nora was worse.
Jay called me an alcoholic.
Pulled the rug out from under me and you're putting me through hell.
Now, that phrase right there, you're putting me through hell. Hell is what we call pretty much the underworld, the bad place you go when you die in a lot of religions. So when somebody's putting you through hell, it means that they're making your life so bad. And so his wife, currently his wife, is putting him through hell with this divorce process, which means she's making his life very, very difficult. Let's go, keep moving.
Putting me through hell.
You put me through hell during our marriage.
Oh, is that what that was? Hell?
And now you're gonna put Henry through this horrible thing so you could yet again get what you want.
It's not what I want. I mean, it's what I want, but it's what was. What's best for him.
Oh, well, I was wondering when...
So he said what was, and that could be a little bit confusing too. But what he was saying was that was how their life was. They were in New York. They were a New York family. And now that they're being forced to be a Los Angeles family, he doesn't want that, because what he wants is things to go back to the way they were.
Around to Henry and what he actually wants.
Fuck off!
No, you fuck off. If you listen to your son or anyone, they tell you that he'd rather live here.
Stop putting your feelings about me onto Henry.
He tells me he likes it better here.
He tells you because he knows it's what you want to hear.
He tells me you're on the phone all the time. You don't even play with him.
Because I'm going through a divorce in LA and trying to direct a play in New York, which closed because I wasn't there.
Okay, so he's saying that the play in New York closed because he wasn't there, which means that the show failed. It didn't work. And so while he was trying to get divorced in Los Angeles and he was trying to run his play in New York, his whole play failed because he couldn't be there. Let's keep moving. Woo, this is fun. I really like this movie.
Because I wasn't there. It was a huge opportunity.
Fighting for something you don't even want. You're being so much like your father.
Do not compare me to my father.
I didn't compare you to him. I said you were acting like him.
So she said she didn't compare him to his father, but he was acting like his father. That's a kind of tongue-in-cheek oxymoron because it doesn't make any sense. But that's the beauty of watching movies like this, because that's the way people speak. A lot of times you contradict what you're trying to say when you're speaking. And think about the way you would speak in your own language and compare it. People, when they speak English, can do the same thing. You can say one thing and then say the complete opposite in the same sentence. And if you're not privy to it, tie back to the word earlier, if you're not privy to it, then you won't understand. Let's keep moving along.
You're exactly like your mother. Everything you're complaining about her, you're doing. You're suffocating Henry.
First of all, I love my mother. She was a wonderful mother.
Just repeating what you told me.
Secondly, how dare you compare my mothering to my mother? I may be like my father, but I am not like my mother.
You are! And you're like my father. You're also like my mother. You're all the bad things about all of these people. But mostly your mother. When we would lie in bed together, sometimes I would look at you and see her and just feel so gross.
So, to feel gross means you feel dirty, you feel disgusting. Gross is an adjective for both of those words. Now, what he's saying is that sometimes when he's with his wife and he'd be laying in bed, he would see her and see her mother and then just feel disgusted. And yeah, that's very mean and not very friendly, but I mean, at least we can understand what it means to feel gross. Because you'd say many things are gross. If you were to walk down the road and see something disgusting on the floor, you say, oh, that's gross. Or if you eat something that tastes terrible, you say, oh, this tastes gross. So that's a good adjective, gross.
So gross.
I felt repulsed when you touched me.
You're a slob. I made all the beds, closed all the cabinets, took care of you like an infant.
Makes me want to peel my skin off.
You'll never be happy.
So, real fast, because that happened really, really quick, she was saying that she felt repulsed, which means about the same as gross. He called her gross, she calls him gross. Very common in English spoken arguments where you're kind of throwing the same insults at each other and changing the name of the insults. But what we could do is quickly cut back just a couple seconds where he was talking about things like he called her a slob, which meant that she didn't clean up after herself. He closed all the cabinets, and he basically they're just saying a lot of mean things.
I think you found some better opposite guy than me, and in a few years you rebel against him because you need to have your voice. But you don't want a voice. You just want to fucking complain about not having a voice.
I think about being married to you, and that woman is a stranger to me. I mean, we had a child.
Now, she said something very special. She said, I think about us being married, and that woman is a stranger to me. What she's saying is that she doesn't even know who she was when they were married. That she's changed so much since they've been going through their divorce that she can't even imagine who that lady was that spent all this time with him. We're starting to get into the main heated core of this. So if you're very sensitive to swear words, I'd stop listening to the video now. But they are going to start saying a lot of really nasty words to each other. So be very careful.
You always made me aware of what I was doing wrong, how I was falling short. Life with you was joyless.
What, so then you had to go and fuck someone else?
You shouldn't be upset that I fucked her. You should be upset that I had a laugh with her.
So what he's saying right there, and once again, language alert, he said, you shouldn't be upset that I had sex with her. You should be upset that I had a laugh with her. Now, what that means is he's not saying that it's wrong to laugh with somebody, but what he's saying is that he was so broken away from their marriage that it should have been a fight when he first started having feelings for somebody, not when he acted upon them.
Love her?
No, but she didn't hate me. You hated me.
You hated me. You fucked somebody we worked with.
You stopped having sex with me in the last year. I never cheated on you.
That was cheating on me.
But there's so much I could have done.
So right there he said, there's so much I could have done. Basically, now turning the argument and saying that you stole my life from me. She's saying that you cheated on me. He's saying you stole my life from me. And now they're getting very emotionally heated. Now keep paying close attention because the dialogue's going to start picking up really fast and they're going to start saying things really quick, very emotional things. And I know it's a bit challenging to understand people when they get heated or when they start speaking fast or when they get very emotional. So let's just keep chugging along and paying attention.
I was a director in my 20s who came from nothing and was suddenly on the cover of fucking Time Out New York.
Now, real fast, Time Out New York is just a very big magazine, but I feel like you could probably have pieced that together. But what is important is he said he came from nothing, right? And what that means when you say that you came from nothing means you didn't grow up in a family with a lot of money. You didn't have people giving you big things or giving you jobs, right? He's self-made, and that's what he's trying to say when he says I came from nothing is I did this myself. I built my own success.
I was hot shit and I wanted to fuck everybody and I didn't.
Hot shit. Now hot shit just means really, really good. And I know shit usually means a bad word, but in this sense when you say you're hot shit or I'm the shit, well, that means that you're really, really good.
And I loved you and I didn't want to lose you, but I'm in my 20s and I didn't want to lose that too and I kind of did. And you wanted so much, so fast, I didn't even want to get married. Fuck it! There's so much I didn't do.
So, there's so much I didn't do. All he's trying to say is that so much of his life is going by now, his prime years are gone, and he can't do the things that he wanted to do when he was young because she was there, and now they're getting this divorce, so it's just, derailed his life. And we're almost done. We're watching part 8 right now, and things are really going to pick up here.
Oh, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
I can't believe I have to know you forever.
So she's saying, I can't believe I have to know you forever. And I don't know if this one needs explanation, but because they're getting a divorce, they have a child, they have to, know each other for the rest of their lives, and she just hates the idea of having to know him.
You're fucking insane. And you're fucking winning!
Now right there, the winning part, you're effing insane and you're effing winning. That's because in the divorce process, she is kind of getting more at this point in the story than what he's getting.
Are you kidding me? I wanted to be married. I'd already lost. You didn't love me as much as I loved you.
What does that have to do with LA?
So she's saying, I already lost. She already lost the whole thing because she loved him more. And, very true to his character, he just looks at her and say, what does that have to do with LA, right? Because remember, he does not want to live in LA. So in this argument, he is still stuck on the idea of not wanting to live in LA. That's really all that has to do with the story.
What?
You're so merged with your own selfishness, you don't even identify it as selfishness anymore. You're such a dick!
That right there, she was speaking a bit in a circle, saying that you're so selfish, you're so merged with your selfishness that you don't even identify it as selfishness anymore. All she's really saying is that he is so, all he could think about is himself. And while he thinks about himself, he can't think about anyone else or even see that he's only thinking about himself.
You're such a dick!
And then, of course, she said, you're such a dick. And dick is an insult. It's not the worst insult out there. I'm sure when my mom watches this, she's gonna, kind of say, hey, why did you say that D word? But, dick is a word that you would call somebody who's acting also like the word before, asshole, right? It's another word for asshole. If somebody's not being very nice, you can call them a dick. Now, if you say that somebody's a dick, they're not going to fight you, but they're not going to be very happy with you for saying it. So let's watch this last clip right here, clip number 10, and this is going to make the conclusion to the fight, to the argument.
Every day I wake up and I hope you're dead. Dead like if I can guarantee Henry would be okay. I'd hope you get an illness and then get hit by a car and die. Oh, God. I'm sorry.
Me too.
Okay, so there isn't really much to discuss with that other than the fact that you did hear them both say I'm sorry. And that's because a lot of times in English, when people are arguing or people are fighting with each other, sometimes they get a little over the top. They don't actually mean what they're saying. They'll say some harsh things. It doesn't make it all right, but it's just kind of life. Anyways, that's about it for this clip. If you guys like what you saw, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. If there's anything that you want to see in future videos, let me know in the comment section below. I really hope that this works out, and I hope that this is something that you guys have an interest in, because if so, we'll do this more often. I really enjoyed doing this. Alright, anyways, that's it, so have a good one, and I'll see you later.